it's Heather, aka Razzlecon, and recently my husband, Ilya Lichtenstein, posted a video on his Twitter account that he recorded from jail. His X or Twitter account is Unreal Dutch. Anyways, a number of people reached out to me saying that they don't use Twitter X, especially those that are outside of tech, including my own grandma. So I decided, with, of course, Ilya's permission, to post that video on my YouTube so that it can be watched more easily. And here it is.
Hello, my name is Ilya Lichtenstein, perhaps better known as Razzlecons' husband. And most of what you've heard about me is true. I hacked Bitfinex. I stole and laundered thousands of Bitcoin. And I am so sorry for everything. I offer my sincerest apologies to Bitfinex for all the stress that I have caused them. For a long time, I made one bad, selfish decision after another. I knew what I was doing was wrong, and I did it anyway, because I didn't care. I didn't care about anyone else except myself. I look back now at the person I was then, and I hate myself. I hate myself. I can't change the past, but I can and will do everything I can to make amends. For the past 3 years, I have worked hard to account for and return all assets down to the last Satoshi as required by my plea agreement. And I will continue to do so throughout the forfeiture and restitution process, which is expected to return more than $10 billion by the first quarter of next year. But let me be clear. I planned and executed the Bitfinex heist entirely by myself. And I am the one who bears full responsibility for everything that has happened. While it is true that my wife pleaded guilty to laundering a small portion of the funds, she was in no way involved in the hack itself. She didn't even know about it for years. In many ways, my wife, who I love so, so much, is just another victim of my bad decisions. Razzlecon is not the Bitfinex hacker. Razzlecon is not the Bitfinex hacker. I am. And any allegations that my elderly and not at all tech-savvy father had any involvement in any hacking activity ever are completely false and frankly absurd. My dad is no hacker. He doesn't even know how to use Instagram. My father has lived an honorable and law-abiding life, and he was shocked and hurt when he found out about my crimes. Nobody else except for me is responsible for the hack. You don't have to take my word for it. All of the court documents laying out the facts of the case are publicly available. You can read them yourself and make up your own mind. But just think about it for a second. If I am planning a dangerous heist, why would I possibly take the risk of involving anyone else? Believe me, I am more than capable of hacking a cryptocurrency exchange by myself. I don't need anyone else's help. But my days of malicious hacking are over. Long years in federal prison are a powerful deterrent, and I have definitely learned my lesson. Look, I have a particular set of skills, and I believe that I can use those skills to do a lot of good in the cybersecurity industry, because nobody knows the dark web better than someone who has spent years navigating it. And nobody understands how hackers think like someone who has been a hacker. I know the cyber threats that we face, and I know how to stop them. When I am released from prison, about a year from now, I plan to dedicate myself to working in the cybersecurity industry. And I sincerely hope and expect that the next time you hear about me, it will be for something much more positive. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that video was pretty self-explanatory and I don't need to say that much more about it. There have definitely been a number of crazy rumors and frankly bold-faced lies throughout this case. I realize it's a pretty crazy case, but some of it is actually trying to make certain aspects more click-worthy by the media than were actually the case in reality. And as far as the Netflix biggest heist ever, which honestly I found kind of boring. I watched it on 1.5x because I didn't find it all that interesting. I think that one, the only thing that was missing was an alien conspiracy theory, because the whole thing about my father-in-law being a hacker is the most out of left field crazy thing I've ever imagined. Like, if you know the guy, that is the least likely thing ever. It's like saying my grandma is a hacker. Like, it's like Clarissa is a more likely hacker. Let's be real. So that's based on absolutely nothing. And I don't know, I just find it interesting that all these people that know nothing about the case are ready to talk and, you know, spew their opinions and conjectures and crazy conspiracy theories. The only people at the end of the day that know anything about this case are my husband and I and our attorneys. Obviously the prosecutors also, you know a fair amount after everything, but the government guy in the Netflix, first of all, he's not even with the government anymore. He's with that TRM company that was mentioned. So like that was basically like a TRM case study. And that guy hasn't been with the government for a while, so you kind of have to ask yourself why and what's going on there. In fact, if you look at his LinkedIn profile, you notice he's wearing like a rather expensive looking outfit, which, you know, good for him. Glad he's doing well and he was able to make it in the corporate world outside of the government. But like, let's just sort of think about that. At the end of the day, the only people that will be talking more about our case that can actually share anything real and meaningful are my husband and I, and potentially our attorneys, if we give them clearance on that, which we might for certain things. And obviously you're welcome to read the court documents themselves, which are pretty clear. There's not one court document at all calling me or accusing me or charging me with being a hacker ever. There's crazy defamatory news headlines, but there's not one government document explicitly saying that at any point. And then also, if you don't want to read the court documents, which I understand because they're kind of boring and really long, there's a great article from Coindesk about the video and other aspects of the case. It is the first piece of press I've seen in nearly 3 years that was actually accurate. So check that out if you want. Other than that, that's it for now. Looking forward to telling the real story, which is in fact interesting, but probably not in the ways that you would expect. I think it's fun for people to imagine these conspiracy theories, but the reality is my husband is a genius. He's a complicated genius. And being a genius doesn't mean that you don't do stupid things sometimes. It doesn't mean that you don't make bad decisions, but rather that you can do a lot. And frankly, if you read the court documents, not only did he confess to being the hacker, the solo hacker, the government says he created one of the most complex money laundering schemes they have ever seen. That doesn't mean that someone is working with other people. That just means that person is a genius, and in this case, a tech genius who was able to automate all of his money laundering. I don't say this as something like I'm proud of, I just say it as a fact to explain how he was able to do so much on his own. He essentially created like a money laundering AI before AI was even really like much of a thing. So anyways, I will let him tell that part of the story because it's his to tell. There's other parts of the story that are mine to tell, and I look forward to telling them soon, as well as he.